Sit back, relax and enjoy listening. The girl paused, her trembling hands clutching the edge of the seat. RK slowed the car, sensing the heaviness of her words. The city lights flickered through the window, casting faint shadows on her pale face. I climbed the bridge wall, she continued, her voice barely audible. It felt like the world didn't care. People passed by, engrossed in their phones, their lives, oblivious to someone else's pain. I was moments away from letting it all go, from ending the shame in silence. And then, her voice trailed off, leaving RK on edge. And then, he asked, his tone firm yet careful. She exhaled shakily. One person pulled me back. I don't even know how they noticed in that chaos. That person shouted at me, their voice filled with anger and concern, asking what on earth I was doing. When I turned around, I couldn't believe it. Of all the people in the world, it was... She stopped, her words choking in her throat. That person wasn't someone I'd ever imagined would care. It was like the last person on earth I'd expect, she whispered, her gaze distant. The person was getting calls, but those calls were ignored. The phone was silenced, and all the focus was entirely on me. That person didn't just stop me, they listened. I was made to tell everything. RK frowned. Everything? And that person didn't judge you. Not for a second, she said, her voice gaining strength. Instead, I was promised that everything would be fixed. I didn't believe it at first. I mean, who would? But that person, she paused, a faint smile touching her lips. That person did something, didn't they? RK asked, his curiosity growing. She nodded. That person taught that so-called reporter a lesson he'll never forget, proper and solid. Within hours, the higher management, who humiliated me, begged for forgiveness. That person made them delete all the videos and photos completely, and warned them that if they even dared to look at me the wrong way, the consequences would be unimaginable. That person erased every trace and ensured no image or rumor ever reached the world. And the most satisfying part, she continued with a glint in her eyes, that person made the reporter face the same humiliation he inflicted on me, but worse. In front of the entire office, he was fired. The shame and anger on his face. It felt like justice had finally been served. She smiled faintly, satisfaction gleaming in her eyes. RK's eyes widened. He recalled something similar, but couldn't be certain if it was the same situation. Astonishment mixed with admiration as he said, must have been someone with real power. A good person, clearly. Just goes to show. Sometimes the ones we misunderstand the most are the ones who end up doing the right thing. Her gaze flicked toward him, her lips curving into a faint smile. Yes, she is. RK blinked, caught off guard. She. The girl nodded, her eyes gleaming with a mix of gratitude and awe. Yes, she. RK leaned back, a frown forming on his face as realization crept in. Wait, you said she. Do you mean to say it was a woman? RK leaned back further, as now it matching more with what he remembered early, some similar instance, but still didn't said anything, as he is not 100% sure, so just said. She must be a good human being, someone who doesn't just think about herself. People like that are rare in this world, putting others before their own gain, not seeking anything in return. The girl's gaze softened, her lips curving into a faint smile. There was something in her eyes, a glimmer of mischief mixed with admiration, and perhaps a tinge of pride. Yes, she said after a moment, her voice steady but laced with a hint of emotion. She is that and so much more. She's incredible, powerful, caring. RK looked at her, his curiosity now fully piqued. Before he could ask the question forming in his mind, she leaned forward slightly, meeting his gaze directly. And you know her? RK froze, her words landing like a thunderclap. I know her. I mean, whom are you talking about? Who is she? He asked with restlessness in his voice. Is she the one who he thinking or what?